So pay attention, please. What is this presentation about? Well, this presentation is about a very cool project that Get Real is organizing together with the Algarve Tech Hub and with the support of the Algarve Evolution. I'm an academic researcher on participatory democracy, intergenerational fairness, and I use societal strategic foresight also in this project, and founder of Get Real. Now, let's get real. But before we do that, let's have big picture. So what is the challenge that we face as a society, not just Algarve, overall? Our and future generations face a so-called perma-crisis. Fancy word to say that the interconnected, and overlapping crises of today are becoming the new normal, permanent, continuous. Which are they? The triple planetary crisis, environmental pollution, climate change, biodiversity loss. I'm pretty sure that these resonate in the public. Here, they spill over and create social crisis, political crisis, and sometimes technology can bring opportunities, but in doing so, many times it brings disruption. It has to be managed. So, democracy is the way we deal with challenges, but democracy, and history shows it, can fail if it doesn't deliver, meaning if it doesn't if it is not fit for the future. How can democracy deliver? Well, these are the key words. Intergenerational fairness. We cannot think about the well-being of this generation of ourselves without thinking about the impact that of the well-being of the future generations. And so we need long-term thinking, not short-term projects. How do we do it? We should include citizens and their voices in what we decide, because at the end of the day, without public support, politics will not support the innovative ideas that we want to bring forward. And so we need visionary, but at the same time, pragmatic action. Now, this is just to make the point across. So what is Get Real? Who am I and what we stand for? Well, we believe that democracy should be unafraid of tackling the real problems and having real accountability. And so we do that, and we should do that by empowering individuals to have both real impact and ownership for a sustainable, prosperous, and equitable future. And so what do? We support designing and implementing solutions for these types of future. We create a level playing field that brings citizens together with you, stakeholders in the room together, and we advocate for these solutions in government and somewhere else. So, what is this Impact Algarve? Well, Impact Algarve is a future-oriented, open coalition of innovators, I see you, thinkers, I see the others of you, and citizens. I'm pretty sure all of us are citizens, so that's covered. What's the vision of this coalition? Is to make the Algarve a leader in innovation and sustainability by 2035. Yes, we go beyond 2030. And so how do we do it? Well, by combining the capabilities to think and plan long term, that is strategic foresight, together with inclusivity, making sure that citizens are part of the conversation. And so it is funded by Get Real, Algarve Tech Hub, and supported by the Algarve Evolution. So now, consultative journey, what have we done so far? We met in June the 1st at the University of Algarve Tech Campus, and there were many of us. There were many stakeholders. You can read them in the slide. And what did we do together? Well, there was an informative session where we ensured that there was a level playing field of knowledge so that citizens could be included. We created dialogues so that citizens and stakeholders could think about the future in aspirational terms. What would be the Algarve you would like to live in the future? Simple question, many answers. And we backtracked to 2025. So now that we have a vision, how do we make sure that we work towards it? How did we do it? We use collaborative innovation, we use strategic foresight, deliberative policy making, and impact-driven stakeholder approach. The difference between this approach and others is that when you involve citizens and only citizens, then sometimes their decisions are not followed up by the stakeholders. They can be public or private. So we made sure that everyone was in the room. Now, what was the result? What were the key themes discussed? Well, you will see that many of these themes were themes we are discussing today. So citizens can provide bold decisions and are unafraid of thinking of those. There was sustainability and innovation, youth engagement and social inclusion, economic diversification, and technological advancement. Here's a peek of the report we at Guerrero are writing. And you can see many overlapping areas, but also social inclusion, areas that speak to the well-being of the citizens, their day-to-day life. So they created these 5 moonshot ideas for 2030, and then we stretched the timeline a bit. So these are transformative ideas that wants to co-create an equitable, sustainable, and innovative future by 2030, and embracing long-term planning. And we stretched the timeline to 2035 so that this project could be feasible. Now, I know all of you want to know, okay, but which are these ideas? What are we talking about? Well, these are logos of the ideas created through AI. That's cool. So first idea, Algarve Innovation Village. What is this about? The idea is very simple. Establish Algarve as one of the leading European innovation hubs by 2035. What does that mean? Creating an innovative green park. This is not a new idea, right? That includes not just the tech hub that we already have, right? But of course, it's going to be enhanced, but a health hub, sustainability hub, a culture hub, a biodiversity hub. Why? Because we need critical mass, and we need places, people to meet, and not just innovators. So, what's the plan for 2025 according to citizens? Well, focusing on public-private partnerships, securing investments, identify key locations for this hub. There are many buildings that could be reused for the purpose of creating these new hubs. Now, as Get Real and writing the report, we identified key investments for making sure that this plan is put into action, and also to entice the innovators and others, what could be the potential return of investments, the actual impact in terms of wealth and well-being. Now, second idea, which we call the Algarve Connect moonshot. Very simple, create a fully interconnected, accessible, and sustainable public transportation that connects Algarve as smoothly to the world as to the rural areas. Why? Because, of course, communities are scattered and they want to meet, but they're unable to do so in an affordable way and reliable way. So, public transportation should be the vehicle for growth and quality of life. And so what's for 2025? Well, they thought about launching this transport app to improve public transportation and connect sustainable energy solutions that we discussed today with buses, railways, and cycle paths. Again, these are ideas that have been discussed today. This is to show that citizens can be bold and innovative as much as you. And so we identify key investments in these areas. We recognize that there are already apps that work in this particular domain, but we can improve on what's already been done. This is a sample of the return of investments. Third idea, third moonshot, the Eco Algarve moonshot. What's the idea? Again, very simple. Create a new way of living for Algarvians that provide the best possible urban rural environment while enhancing local nature, not destroying it. As you can see, a recurring pattern is the urban rural gap, very much felt by the participants in the room. And at the core of it, there is leveraging natural resources to create sustainable tourism and cultural heritage. Yes, because if you bring the local citizens, then they really want to make sure that part of their culture is reflected in transformation, empowered. And so they also stress the importance of promoting active citizenship and youth engagement to strengthening the sense of the community between the so-called old Algarvians and new Algarvians, avoid or bridging the language barrier. For 2025, what's the idea? start building this coastal walkaway and biodiversity corridor, integrating renewable energy installations, eco-friendly transport, and community-led conservation programs. The idea is that we should embrace the transformation. Everyone should take part of it. We identified key investments in these particular areas and potential return of investments in there. Third idea, I'm going very quickly, the Vital Algarve moonshot. Very simple. Ensure a citizen-centered healthcare and well-being service with innovative, accessible, and affordable services, no matter where you live. Here at the core, there is the principle that tech should be leveraged to provide remote consultations and medical services, so going along with the transformation that the national and regional governments are enacting in Algarve as well, with the focus on health equity. Affordability, very important. What's the plan for 2025 according to the workshop participants? Deploying telehealth platforms and mobile healthcare units across the Algarve, especially the rural areas. The key investments are provided here with about where we could start. And I think you can start to see the interconnections between these ideas, right? It's very simple. If you want to have big investments, there should be co-benefits, right? Last moonshot, BioGuard Algarve. Again, very simple idea. Make Algarve one of the European champions of the green urban development by 2035, promoting the sustainable life of all beings. What does that mean? Biodiversity conservation, climate-resistant reforestation, sustainable farming practices. Again, these are ideas that are already part of your conversation. This is to show the citizens are ready to support it if they are included and their interests also taken into account. And so, very simply, the principle here underpinning this particular moonshot is that nature should be preserved for its own sake and for the sake of enhancing citizens' quality of life. Now, what's the action plan for 2025? Establish the Algarve Coastal and Marine Biodiversity Sanctuary to increase and connect protected areas and sustainability cultures. Again, there are protected areas. The idea here is how do we connect it? How do we improve what's there? And how to make sure that community actually get something out of it. They are part of the transformation. We identified key investments in these areas and return on investments in these areas. Now, what is the main message that I want you to listen today is to join Impact Algarve. Scan the QR code. You can subscribe in this way by our newsletter, which will provide you with the next events and opportunities to engage with us. And so, what is Impact Algarve? It represents a different form of policy making, using meaningful stakeholder engagement, open to and led by citizens. Because citizens' ownership for us is the key to achieve that critical mass. Co-deliberation and strategic foresight, powered by participatory policy making, is the way for us to think long-term, plan long-term, and make sure that we bring everyone together. So we call through this report for the creation of the observatory of the Algarve Intergenerational Observatory. Why? Because innovation, how can be understood as part of enhancing the well-being of our generations is by thinking and by spelling out explicitly. And also the future is about intergenerational fairness. We should have the UN Special Envoy on Intergenerational Fairness here in Algarve and the new Commissioner on Intergenerational Fairness here in Algarve, because when you innovate and you create new wealth, you want to make sure that this wealth is created in an equitable way. So that's our vision, intergenerational equity by promoting citizens' sense of democratic ownership and actionable pathways to sustainable, innovative, and prosperous futures. So join us to make these moonshot ideas into reality.